On our last episode.
Here's what you missed on Glee.
Oh, God. Previously on Lost.
Yep.
Let's move into talking about Love and Peace.
I'm not gonna sing the thing, but know that I desperately want to.
Well, that was my feeble attempt.
It was feeble. It was feeble.
God, they're such idiots. I love them.
I love them so much. I mean, obviously you have had to suffer my endless rants about how much I loved Gold Class in its various different iterations.
Mm-hmm.
But this sort of like short king idol group that they've assembled is somehow even more my deal.
Like, I was telling somebody, it's the perfect distillation of just like somehow threading the needle of so stupid it's endearing.
Yeah.
And this is a reference that few will get. We love an obscure reference here, obviously.
Oh,
but I keep wanting to call them Benkei's team of stupid idiots, and it's
real
affectionate. But it's a reference to, this was years ago on a message board that I was on, but it was when NXT was first starting up, and they had the Nexus was invading, and they actually had a fun debut where they just like wrecked ringside, but then to fend them off, of course, they got, John Cena and all the top guys, and just like on a wrestling message board, who cares? They're all just going to be defeated by John Cena's team of stupid fucking idiots. And that ended up not only being true, but it also became sort of a meme of like anytime you have a bunch of just like dumbass characters together, it's just like so-and-so's team of stupid idiots.
Mm-hmm. It's incredibly apt.
Yeah, and in this case, it's very affectionate. It's what's interesting about Love and Peace, though, is that they are kind of Doi's vision of what original Gold Class was supposed to be.
Accidentally, we've boomeranged back around.
Yeah, because if you remember when Gold Class first formed, when Doi got Kota Minoura rescued him from his abuser.
Got him in the divorce.
Minoura's whole thing was, I have no idea what's going on, and just being this, like, hunky himbo for a while. And they originally wanted to build around that, but then they kind of got tonally lost, and injuries happened, and Doi left, and Ishida left, and now it's circled back to what original Gold Class was supposed to be, and which I think is really appropriate because Love and Peace did something that very few babyface units do, and they did the heel unit thing of rebranding after replacing all their members.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Rita. I mean, I say he wasn't original Gold Class, but it was close enough. Like, he was...
Yeah, it's splitting hairs.
Yeah, he was given as the gift to Minoura like a month after they formed, so yeah, close enough. But yeah, they did the heel unit dynamic, which I think is really interesting, because you don't see that very often.
No. I'm also, like, it was a series of big swings that have paid off in dividends. One of my favorite things is to hear wrestling fans, Dragongate fans, who take themselves way too seriously now have to say the unit name in serious contexts. That gives me personal joy. But also, the other biggest swing, I think, is choosing that particular shade of orange for the unit color, because it is bold. I think when they unveiled it, I described it as the least peaceful color I've ever seen.
It's pure creamsicle.
It's like alarm bells. It's dangerous orange.
I would have to look back to do a direct comparison, like use the eyedropper on to find out the actual hex codes and everything, but which I'm gonna do because of course I will. But I want to compare and contrast that shade of orange with Monster Express because that is the last bright orange unit that I can think of. They were orange and black. This is orange and white. So I think it's meant to invoke them, but I actually get more of a Jimmy's vibe from Love and Peace.
Yeah, like you say, it's because it's the band of stupid idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Meant in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, and it's also, it's no Jimmy's Train, but what is. But their opening choreography is really fun, too.
The intricate choreography of Love and Peace.
I'm actually impressed at how quickly they can slide into the ring, get to a standing position, and do the peace sign
Oh, their timing is on point.
between the repetition of the line.
Oh, yeah.
What's really funny about it, though, is that it seems like it was actually completely Benkei speaking off the cuff and they ran with it.
I love that. Why not?
You know, the battle for Hyo turned into, we'll rename Gold Class to Love and Peace for You. Even though I don't know why that's an incentive for Hyo.
I don't know. It's this sort of weird courting dance that everyone seems to do in Dragongate, is whenever we want you to join our team and we'll rename it to, I don't know, satisfy your ego particularly.
But that doesn't particularly have anything to do with Hyo.
No, it doesn't.
Like, calling themselves Catboys would have been more appropriate.
Oh no. Could you, I mean, I could imagine, and that's part of the danger of it. I know of at least, multiple people in Vegas who, apropos of nothing, having absolutely no context, just referred to Hyo as Catboy. So, like, they get it. Strong branding.
I mean, imagine the merch.
I don't want to.
No, imagine
I think
it.
we've just
Do it.
We've just worked ourselves into a Prime Zone bit.
Picture it in your mind's eye. Yeah, I think we did. Although,
Give us the book.
I mean, that was kind of the start of Hyo being Prime Zone host, wearing barely anything.
That was certainly a thing when I was watching it, when I was watching Prime Zone on my phone at my desk at work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there was that entire episode where everyone was bearing it all.
Luckily, I don't think I was at work that day. I wouldn't want to have to explain that.
I mean, what's to explain? It's pretty straightforward.
I'm not gonna get into this.
I would wager that it requires less explanation than the Prime Zone episode where multiple people switched brains.
Yeah, but they can't hear what's going on. They don't know all that. My colleagues, that is.
That's fair. Visually, yes, it is more, let's say, striking.
Striking.
I believe the, power structure, you might say, is still that Hyo is technically the leader or the front-facing, like the front man, but Benkei is like the manager, or I don't know what actual power each of them would have in that.
In a few of Benkei's tweets, I've seen him refer to him and Hyo as the boss and the leader.
Right, okay.
So I think it's fairly interchangeable in that respect.
So it's like the CEO, CFO.
I wouldn't trust Benkei with my finances, but yes.
Chief Financial Officer of Love and Peace.
Yes, why not?
And that tracks, I think, also because other than Rita, Benkei was the longest tenured in Gold Class, and he was closest to leader, I guess, when
by the end
Minoru was out. Yeah. And even while Minoru was in the group. There was a kind of a transition out of it, I think. He sort of faded into the background, and especially when he started his losing streak. And we talked about this when we talked about Minoru, is that I really like that they had him involved in that transition. Apparently he owns the copyrights.
It's just a good bit, is the thing. It was kind of inspired, actually. And then that whole segment just playing off as such comedy nonsense at the same time. After what was a fantastic match as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just this kind of encapsulation of what makes Dragongate so much fun to watch, because you don't really know what they're going to pull out of the hat next, even if you are fairly sure that you know what's going to happen. Occasionally they'll be like, anyway, the copyright holder has a complaint to make.
Yeah, well, I deal with that enough on my YouTube channel, so.
Exactly. It's real, it's relatable, it's gritty, it's realism. The gritty realism of Love and Peace.
That's right. This is a complete side tangent, but did you happen to see my post about the copyright strikes on my Ultimate Dragon video?
I did.
That's really strange because apparently the original artist was like, yeah, everyone can use this free, even demonetize, and then somebody a couple years later just took that track, copyrighted it, and released it, and has aggressively been going after people who use it. So
that doesn't surprise me.
So rather than try to fight that claim, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna extract the audio, and it actually did a pretty good job of editing it so that I didn't have to upload a whole new version. It kept my narration in and just kind of muted the background into a simple beat. So I assume that is one of the few benefits I've seen of AI.
Vanishingly few benefits, yeah.
Anyway, back to Love and Peace.
Back to Love and Peace.
Hyo continues to evolve himself. He's not quite the same as he was just before this, is where he was doing,
No.
The Catboy stripper entrance, kind of just doing more Catboy than stripper now.
He's got a very, very 2006 boy band aesthetic. And I know it's not working for some people, but I think this might be peak. It might be peak. But maybe that's just because I was listening to a lot of Japanese boy bands in 2006.
This is a very specific year.
My brain just went to, when did YouTube sort of start? That was when I was watching a lot of Arashi music videos.
No, I get that because when Homare got his new theme, I immediately thought of 2004 specifically. And I don't know why, but 2004.
Whereas 2004 for me is just very like British indie band era.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't the style of music I was listening to at the time. I just know that it was very popular in 2004. I think, yeah, you're right. It's not working for everyone, but I think in the context of Love and Peace just being these absolute dipshits.
Yeah, that's fair.
It very much works. And especially the dynamic with Ben K, who is leaning back into his dumb meathead persona. Like, he had this reputation a while back for just kind of being a dumb jock, but now it's like, I don't even know, there's such an extra layer on top of it.
He's the dumb jock that everybody loves.
You know what he kind of reminds me of is kind of like the character archetype in 80s movies where he's rough around the edges to start and kind of a dick, but then as the plot goes on and everyone kind of consolidates together, it turns out he's actually like pretty chill.
Yeah, it's that one character from Paranorman. We're getting really specific.
Or like Steve from Stranger Things.
Kind of, but I think Benkei's less mother than Steve. Let's not get into that. That's a whole debate.
Well, also kind of Emilio Estevez in The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, he's more of like a John Hughes parody, like a loving parody of a John Hughes character.
Yeah. And it's completely natural, too.
Yeah.
I don't feel any bit of this is forced with him.
No, he has such a light to him, and I think that's one reason why people, take to him. He's just got such a genuine joy when you see him, just the way he is. Like you say, it feels incredibly natural.
And I do love that Benkei has gone back to the samurai pants.
Go samurai.
That is always a look that I liked for him, and that really works. It is interesting that Hyo has the orange leopard print now.
Yeah, there's no sort of unified aesthetic. It is just wear orange. And that's fine.
Yeah, what does Benkei have that's orange now? I think he's just got the armband now.
You don't want it to... Sorry, this is such a read. He's got to be careful or it's going to clash with his tan.
Okay, he is orange. That's where we can go with that.
Benkei is the orange.
I still love that story that Jay told about how he ran into Benkei wandering the streets at midnight and he said he was going tanning.
It's lovable dumbass. It's just pure lovable dumbass.
I don't know. I was expecting at Kobe World that one of the two teams would either get the twin or the triangle. They didn't do that. They have had them be kind of down on their luck to start. I don't know if I'd call it a demotion, but it is interesting that they're kind of going in that direction because it could potentially sow seeds of frustration in some of the members.
They are in a position right now where the kind of unit that they are, the kind of characters that they don't need to be dominant. They don't need to be quote unquote successful to be able to do what they're doing, to be their characters successfully, playing to the audience, introducing the concept. Like, you don't need for them to immediately start winning a lot in order to do that, as you might do with other units.
Well, yeah, like units like Jimmy's and Natural Vibes have really been the same way. It's more about establishing a tone, I think.
And the tone is love and peace.
And peace.
Aitohewa.
The reference I always come back to is Trigun. Bash the Stampede just says love and peace over and over.
I mean, Every wrestler is a massive dork.
As Benkei is, as of this recording, getting a title shot at the next Kodokan show, I
Vibes.
believe.
I'm down for that. That's gonna bop.
Well, that's gonna be a beef match.
Exactly. Black versus orange. It's gonna be Halloween.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. With skulls
And with
and
skulls.
snakes. Don't expect a victory there. I think Kikuta's got some longevity in that title run, but I do think it'll be a good match.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Jackie in Love and Peace as opposed to how he's just kind of evolved through Big Hug to Gold Class to now Love and Peace?
I think I don't actually know what my feelings on Jackie's character are just yet. He seems to be at a kind of like a solid consistency, but
Mm-hmm.
it does of course help that him and Rita, when they team together, and now that they have the opportunity to do that more, are absolutely astounding.
No, I'm really glad that if we can't have Jason and Jackie, glad we can have Jackie and Rita because that is a fantastic thing.
Yeah,
Almost unexpectedly so.
it's one of those things that you sort of go, oh, of course, but at the same time, it wasn't something that
Right.
you'd clocked beforehand.
I still see a lot of criticism of the overalls,
Listen, they're
but
ugly. Can we get past this?
the thing is, I lean in the other direction. I think it's hilarious. I think he should make it worse every iteration.
Every time someone complains, he makes it 5% worse. I think honestly, it's kind of endearing how he has little to no aesthetic sense. Some people just don't, and it seems like Jackie's one of them.
They've taken the ill-fitting white top that he had from Big Hug, and they stitched orange fur trim on it.
Yep,
It's brilliant.
it's very
They've
craft
added
club.
more tassels.
More tassels. I think everything should have more tassels.
It's almost like it's a bit at this point, but I don't think it is. I think it's just they keep adding new things to it, and they need to change it up every time he jumps units because he does that fairly frequently.
Apparently so, parkour.
I love the fact that they just make it look slightly worse every time.
I like it
It's very funny to me.
because people, it's, again, it's not the intention, but it does mean that people massively underestimate him when they see him for the first time.
Hmm.
And then, he busts out his absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know how to describe his wrestling.
He's actually become one of the best innovators in the company,
Yeah.
I think. He's doing moves that I haven't even seen in Lucha. His new variation, I call it the satellite Cazadora driver because I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
Like whoever's basing for him tosses him up like a pizza. Jackie adds a twist to that I don't even know how it's physically possible. As I had mentioned before, when we were talking about Bendito, he has also somehow transitioned that into a lucha arm drag.
Mm.
It's such a blur. I don't know how he does it. He defies the laws of physics, and it's something I've never seen before. And he keeps coming up with new stuff like
He
that.
has such a presence and a knowledge of his body. Some people just, and I'm kind of one of them, you just don't have a lot of proprioception. Your limbs can be doing whatever they want. It's part of like, I'm
Hmm.
hypermobile, so a lot of the time I don't realize I'm overextending my anything until I'm already injured. But I mean, obviously
Mm,
Jackie's a short guy. Even
yeah.
even then, even for people who are like on the shorter side, I've never seen anyone that has quite as much control without it looking like it's like he's tense. And he does just bust things out that you've never seen before out of nowhere. And he needs to win something at some point.
Tanaka probably has more longevity in his run, but I do like the fact that Jackie is getting those
Yeah,
shots.
absolutely.
People's styles kind of change depending on, their unit and just the
Mm,
chemistry that they have with their partners and their opponents. And there are certain dynamics that don't work as well as others, and then there are some that really
yeah.
surprise you.
It sounds trite, but chemistry really is one of those things that you can't fake nor can you predict. So, like, there've been matches that I've seen in person that I've been excited for, and they've just not just something about them hasn't clicked, and it's no one's fault. But sometimes matches that you weren't expecting anything from have this elevation to them because the chemistry is there. And it really is something that you can attempt to predict, and sometimes you're right when you're doing your fantasy booking, but often enough it's mostly a accident of circumstance.
And just speaking of how he works with Rita, I think he's really come into his own
Mm.
recently. I think he's motivated. I mean, speaking of short kings, my God.
Mm-hmm.
He's another one who has a really interesting gear aesthetic too.
Yeah, also controversial. I never had as much problem with the like floral moment as I know some other people did. There was some heated DMs exchanged at one point between me and a couple of people.
No, I was fine with that. I thought the floral print was interesting. It was unique. I don't know if it quite worked with the front half of it be different from the back half, but it's pure chaos with his gear sometimes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't bring myself to care that much about complaining about someone's gear. So
Sometimes it can completely ruin someone's vibe, their, aura. It can undermine what people are trying to do with character or presence if their gear isn't right in some way. I've never had that problem with Rita and his gear, nor Jackie. It's bad and I don't like to look at it, but it's not like actively undermining who he is in the ring or who he is as a
right.
character with other people. At least it's not boring.
And now he's got the orange fur-lined cuffs.
It's a bold color to have to integrate to anything.
Also, bold choice is the furry orange wristbands. I do wonder, though, is the fur motif sort of a Catboy thing?
There is
Is it because of
there
Hyo?
is a certain animalia to it.
What do they remind me of as a whole? There's a specific anime that I'm trying to think of. It might be a sports anime. Like, I don't watch that much anime, so it's not coming to me, but it's more of the group of idiot jocks.
I mean, that could be any of them.
Yeah, that's entirely fair.
The orange gives Haikyuu.
I don't know, I'm thinking of a volleyball team for some reason.
Oh, that's Haikyuu.
That is what I'm thinking of. The only thing, and I think I keep saying this, is that he doesn't get to lean into his shooter background much. I want to see some real graps from Rita.
Yeah, because occasionally on like a side project isn't quite enough. I don't know. It might be one of those things where it's a little bit of a tonal mismatch with what he's doing character wise, aesthetic wise, and his interactions with the people that he's with. But I don't know. There might be a middle ground that we might see at some point.
Yeah, and I think also it speaks to his versatility too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is really cool to see him on a Buyuden Zero show, ground-based stuff. And yeah, I do get why Love and Peace right now doesn't need...
I don't think they need a shooter right now.
A ground-based grappler.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. You've got the powerhouse with Ben K, and then everyone else is sort of flippy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that covers enough, like, not everyone can be UT.
Indeed.
The one thing I do think he really needs is a new entrance theme, because he has not been using the sped up version of Rise and Grace, which is understandable.
Yeah, especially with the sort of sense of becoming his own person being such a strong through line.
Well, I know there was sort of an embargo on that, on songs for a while, but it seems like that's over.
Yeah, we're getting some new stuff, so
it's probably that vinegar sponsor money.
Oh yeah.
Let's speak on Mochizuki Jr. for a bit. I don't want to say he's been fading into the background so much, but he has kind of become almost a lost post for the group.
A little bit. I think he has some interesting external ties that or the others don't have in the same way.
One very obvious one.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean more as in of everyone, he seems to fit the love and peace of it all a little bit less. I wouldn't say he's number one hater because, when Rita gets going.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a little bit, I don't know, there's a little bit more of a sense of frustration, I think, in Junior.
In a world of love and peace, he's a little bit hate and war.
A little bit. Just a touch.
he does have a bit of an attitude to him that's different from the rest.
Hmm.
And because you have Hyo, who's just like, it's not necessarily himbo, it's just anime boy.
Yeah.
But but so is Junior. He's still doing his JoJo thing.
Again, people who are into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure can't be normal about it. If you have the chance to make a JoJo reference, you will make a JoJo's reference.
Hyo seems to be a very happy guy. Benkei is happy dumbass. Jackie is like friend, like everybody's little buddy. And so is Rita to some extent, but
You know what I think it is? And this is going to sound insane. Like, and it's very much, interpretation based on the text.
do you know us?
Yeah. I think Junior hasn't had a heartbreak yet. Not proper. He's not gone through the ringer like everyone else has and had to come out of the other side and rebuild himself.
He had minor ones with M3K where they tried to pair him up with Ishin and Kato, and both of them betrayed the unit.
Yeah, I'm like it.
But I don't think that's quite the same thing.
No,
You're right.
I think because that obviously was still when everyone was establishing themselves, building themselves, trying to find who they are as a
Right.
person. I don't think that Junior's had that essentially undermined and taken from him in the same way that literally everyone else has.
Yeah, because I remember you saying the last round of these, he had joined Gold Class pretty much right around the same time that Minora left. So that wasn't a huge betrayal for him because he hadn't settled into that dynamic
Yeah,
yet.
he didn't have the emotional connection.
Right, yeah. I mean, Hyo, he has had a massive emotional arc.
Yeah.
Benkei has had, the betrayal of Minora and several others along the way before that. Jackie has had Jason's betrayal. Rita, his big one would obviously be Minora because he started as Minorita.
He had to come out of the other side and become a different person.
Yeah, and Junior's is really just like he fights his dad sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I have a couple of dudes that we do not get on, but
yeah.
he hasn't had to rebuild in the same way. And I think that might be why his attitude feels a bit different character-wise, because everyone else is there having a great time, being happy, and it resonates more because we know everything that they've been through, whereas
Right.
Junior's doesn't have that context.
Right. Well, there's a lot of, some of the kindest, and I want to make a distinction here, not necessarily nicest, genuinely kindest people I have ever met have been through some of the worst shit imaginable.
Yeah.
You kind of come out the other side valuing the people closest to you more.
In a lot of ways, you have to decide to not let what has happened to you affect your kindness. And speaking from personal experience, especially when it's a trust that's been broken, a lot of that you have to very consciously rebuild yourself and not flinch away out of instinct when things remind you of stuff. And yeah, that's what it is. It is about choosing kindness despite everything.
Just on the note of trust, when somebody damages your trust, it is not only harder to trust new people, but you really strengthen your trust with the people who have been with you all along. And Junior, in that context, and maybe we are projecting our personal lives onto this poor kid.
Never.
But no, I think you're absolutely right about that. He doesn't have that history to him. For all his talent, he is ostensibly a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Had he been from any other family and tried out for Dragongate, I'm sure he would have made it anyway, but just considering that his father is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, he was going to get that opportunity.
I say this as it's not to denigrate him in any way. It is just a matter of time. Like, he hasn't had the starring role, because much as his feud with Ishin and his complicated relationship with Ishin, it doesn't influence him right now.
Kind of I guess those two would be considered generational rivals.
Yeah.
And I hope that continues. But also, the thing with generational rivals is often they reconcile and turn up on the same side. So I am interested in the eventual and probably inevitable Ishin and Junior tag team someday.
It's a long game. We're playing the long game.
And the question there is, does Ishin get more serious or does Junior get more stupid?
Either thrill me.
I want to see Gremlin Junior actually.
I know, yeah. And again, someone that like imbibes as much JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And again, I've read some of this kid's tweets. No, yikes. I believe in him. Again,
Yeah.
Prime Zone. Prime Zone is the ultimate example of, can this person do silly, goofy, ridiculous? Yes. Prime Zone. Evidence.
The measuring stick is the non-canon Goofy show.
That's why I was so excited when they announced that Prime Zone was coming back, because I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
you can see other sides to people that you wouldn't necessarily get. Not all of them, not all the time, but you know, sometimes you need to look into the mirrorverse to really understand how good people actually are at what they do, because it's so easy to take, wrestling and characters on face value. If you don't get to see them do other stuff, you forget that they're acting in a lot of ways, because it seems, you don't have the context of what is and is not natural to them. And sometimes you've got to see them be really, really bad at a comedy bit before you can understand like how good they actually are at being a hero.
Yeah. It's also just a way of bringing out things like we'll get into this when we talk about Mochizuki Dojo, but Prime Zone just has a way of bringing out a versatility in people that in many ways nobody knew they had. So we see quite a bit of that from Love and Peace, and I do think Junior is somebody who I could see potentially turning heel down the line.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in addition to Gashadokuro or a replacement. Like, he hasn't had much interaction with Shun.
No. And that is ominous in and of itself.
Perhaps a Saipatra candidate. You never know.
Oh, truly you are fantasy booking.
Sky is the limit on Junior.
Oh yeah,
and
he's so good. Like, again, all of this that we say about his character, it is merely circumstantial. He is very good at what he does. I went all the way to the middle of nowhere so I could see him versus Ridgeway, and I do it again, damn it.
Yeah, I would like to see him over here someday. What is he, 23 now, I think?
There's something ridiculous. Don't make me think about it.
Yeah, he's ridiculously good for his age, and I think if he keeps this pace, maybe he'll be more known for being a Mochizuki than simply Junior, because I think Junior is just what everyone calls him.
Junior, all caps.
I mean, Mochi's got probably another 20 years left in him at the pace he's going.
Yeah, I think it's when he stops saying he's about to retire that I think that's when he probably will.
I think he stopped saying that and said he wants to keep going until his 70s.
I believe it. I know he could do it.
I'm here for it. But yeah, I think we are gradually segueing into Junior's position on this list is very appropriate if we're like climbing up a bit, because is a perfect segue into talking about Mochizuki Dojo.
No, I'm mostly just amused by how much he always has a blue steel going on in his profile pictures. Some of these pictures are pretty darn good, and then some of them are Minora's.
Oh, Minora hasn't had a great one since he had abs, I think.
It's so funny.
Mochi is always vaguely smoldering, let's say.
Always vaguely smoldering. I love it.
I don't know, sometimes I almost struggle with what to say about him because he's still so good and so consistent that it's like, yeah, it's Mochi. You know, he's amazing.
He's
what can you say?
Yeah, he's self-evident. I don't think that there is anything that I can bring to the table, commenting on him that people who are familiar with Dragongate and don't already know.
And just Mochizuki Dojo as a whole, I know people have been speculating that they're not going to be lasting much longer, but I don't know if that's because they want the rest of them to move on or because he's going to recruit more and let them go. Or
Yeah.
one thing I wouldn't mind actually, and I had been thinking about this for a while, but I think it would be really interesting if just to kind of set Mochi free a little bit in terms of letting him do his own thing every now and then. If he added a couple more contemporaries
Mm.
and had maybe like, I mean, his two closest would be Don Fuji and Yasushi Kanda,
Mm. Bring back the uncles.
the uncles raising the kids. And I think that would add a bit more versatility. It would give some of the other veterans something to do. You get Mochifuji in there, and you get old school M2K in there. It would almost be kind of like Overgeneration. I know that a lot of people were down on Overgeneration, but that was very circumstantial.
Mm.
I think they have some longevity left, and I think it's funny because every time I hear somebody say like, "Oh, I think they're probably not long for this world," something else will happen. We got Fuda's speech
Mm.
a few weeks ago where he was like, "Boy, I sure love Mochizuki Dojo." It was like half that and half hyping up Mochi for the Bravegate shot.
Mm.
And then, people were saying it again. And then the last time we saw them all together, they did this whole thing that was just so endearing to me. I loved this moment so much. Where the three of them, the three kids, were like gesturing to Mochi to throw them an opponent and to be like, "Dad, look, we made up a triple team move for you."
Yeah, it's right. Hey, watch this. Watch this. Hey, Dad, watch this. Watch this. And then they,
Look at us
yeah.
go! Look at us go! Yeah, I loved that moment. I thought that was that might even be like the peak moment of them for me.
Yeah, I think it took a second to find that kind of energy for them, or I don't know, but it took a little while to click, but it feels like they've found the dynamic now. Well, the mission statement's not confused, it's just the unit, not unit thing. I think people are sort of
Mhm.
treating it like more like a unit that's not doing anything, as opposed
Yeah,
to
and I don't think that's true
no,
though.
it exactly, as opposed to being again, it's all semantics, splitting hairs on whether it's a unit or not. That's not the point. The point is that within the universe, it's not a unit. It is explicitly a dojo. It is about learning and training, and the fact that it takes a little while to really connect to the people in your karate class, like
Mm-hmm.
that. It takes a while to be friends with people that you're sort of thrown together with because we had a while when they weren't debuting rookies for whatever reason, like people just weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
But now we've started sort of picking up a bit of steam on that. So why would you get rid of Mochizuki
Mm-hmm.
Dojo now?
And a lot of the ones who did had to retire or
Yeah.
were injured. Yeah.
So it feels like this fills a good space where you can introduce rookies, get them experience, but still be having things go on storyline wise. Because one of the major problems for a long time was Daiki and Fuda not doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
seemingly. And I think
Yeah.
this kind of smooths that over. It feels a bit less egregious.
Also, they are sticking to their mission statement,
Mm,
which I think kind of gets lost in some of the criticisms because you have people saying, like, "Oh, they're not doing anything." They are doing exactly what they're setting out to do,
yeah, exactly.
which is gradually getting wins for the kids, gradually improving them, gradually, making them more of themselves. And also, they still have that whole revolving door policy where it's like, if you want to leave, don't just up and leave, don't just turn against us, just let us know that you want to join another unit and we'll let you
Yeah,
go and it's fine. Maybe we're approaching that soon
yeah,
for at least one of them, but I do think they're consistent with their internal
yeah.
logic.
A lot of the way people approach wrestling often tends to be if they're not winning, if they're not challenging for the big titles, then there's nothing going on. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons that I like Dragon Gate so much is that most of the stories are not about that at all. They aren't about winning big titles. And
Yeah.
even when they are about like titles, they tend to be motivated by other things that aren't just, hey, I want that belt. like I say, I think especially a lot of Western fans tend to see that wrestling as your ultimate aim in wrestling should always be to be at the top of the card. And that's just
Hmm.
not how it's not how entertainment works. It's not how stories work. And it's also not fun if everyone has exactly the same aspirations.
And it's also demonstrably not how Dragongate works.
Yeah. And part of the whole thing is like you've got to know where your strengths lie. And some people's strengths are I'm a character actor, not an Oscar winning dramatic lead actress. And you
Oh
make your
yeah.
niche and you do your best in it. And some people that just happens to be I'm at the top, I'm amazing, I'm Yamato. But other people are
Mm.
let's just do shenanigans. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
And to your point, a lot of my favorite actors of all time are character actors.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's so much value in that. They're not going to be winning Oscars. They might get a supporting role.
Occasionally there's a Kathy Bates.
Yeah. For the purposes of this dojo slash unit, we're seeing this gradual evolution. They're preparing them for it. And I want to specifically talk about Ryufuda in there
Mm-hmm.
because he has been around for a while. I think the thing that gets lost about him very often is that he's only 23. He's got loads of time and he's already been around for a long time. I think one of the criticisms that I see is, they do nothing with him and he doesn't seem motivated sometimes. I think he has seemed a lot more motivated lately,
Mm.
but here's the thing that people forget is not just his young age, but the fact that he has been through multiple horrific injuries.
Yeah.
He broke his sternum.
Ugh. That
Like
could
that is not nothing.
straight up kill you.
If not retire you immediately. He
Yeah.
came back from that. He had a horrible accident where two of his fingers were bent back the wrong way.
Mm.
And he recovered from that. He had a steel plate in his hand. He had to be on the shelf for a little while longer after that to get it taken out once he healed up. But he endured all of that. I call him one of the most tenacious people on the roster
Yeah.
because that would and has killed careers before. And many people on this roster before have retired for much, much less than that.
Mm. No, exactly.
And I think finally he's sort of getting his flowers. He's had some wins. He's gotten his new finisher. He just recently beat Kagetora. That is his biggest
Yeah.
victory to date. And he did it clean with his cool new finisher, which is like,
Oh, yeah.
it's a variation on. Oh god, who does that? I want to say it was like Delirious or something like that, who did something like
Oh,
that.
maybe.
But he does like that lifting wrist clutch driver. All of his moves have dragon references.
Because you.
You, yes. I think he had this by the time we last talked, but he had his new gear and his new entrance
Yes.
theme.
A bop. Very Kamen Rider.
Yeah. He is still very stoic on the main shows, but, going back to what we talked about on Prime Zone, when he is Club Yanagi, he does show quite a bit more charisma. He's been allowed to goof off more. And I wonder if that is a company choice that he doesn't, he's not allowed to loosen up as
I
much
think
on the main shows.
there might be, obviously, I'm just speaking from my perspective as someone who's been watching for a couple of years. I think even on that first episode where they had him in Club Yanagi, it took him a hot minute to actually sink into the vibe of that as well. So right at the beginning, because obviously Daiki was spearheading it, it took Fuda a second to start looking comfortable in that bit.
Mhm.
And then he really took to it. And since then, he's become really, really comfortable with it. I think he is kind of just a person that takes a little bit to get comfortable in a position like that and to sort of show out a bit more. But I think even what he's been doing on the main timeline, he's looked more comfortable as well. I think, as you said, because he's been through so much,
Mhm.
it's not surprising that there's a sort of hesitance. You don't want to overinvest and then have everything go wrong again. And it takes a while to get over that as an instinct. So
Yeah.
I think it is a matter of this is the time now when he can start to evolve character wise as well. Now coming through the dojo and having quote unquote
Mhm.
more to do, like being given more. Like this is the perfect time to start breaking free of that and showing a little bit more of what you can do, because until now it has not been your job to stand out too much.
I do hope he is allowed to show some more fire from a character perspective soon, because one of the criticisms I do see about him is that he isn't all that charismatic. But, if you watch Prime Zone, I
I
disagree.
think also people have a really particular idea of what they think charisma is.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't necessarily come through the screen, but people tend to think charisma as being quite big and obvious. But some people really do have a
Mm-hmm.
quiet charisma that just you find them quite fascinating, even though that they're not a big character.
I mean, like, just on a personal note, when I was growing up as a kid, the majority of pro wrestlers that I would see on TV were these screaming steroid freaks, and you'd be watching, and there would be like baby oil to the gills and gigantic men that you'd have like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and like Macho Man Randy Savage all like screaming at the screen. And then my favorite was Jake the Snake Roberts, because he had this quiet charisma. He was articulate. He was soft spoken. You had to really listen to what he was saying.
Mm,
And that's what stood out to me,
yeah.
because he wasn't like the others. And go figure, I wasn't like the others either.
Not like other girls.
Yeah, I'm not like other girls. But yeah, I think Fuda does have a quiet charisma, and when he gets fired up in the ring, that's when he tells his story.
Mm-hmm.
He does show it there, when he's really allowed to cut loose in the ring, and we've said it dozens of times before, but we love a kick boy, and
We love a kick boy.
Mochi is, what do they call him, like the soul of the kicking king? That's how the translation works or whatever.
That's just got horrible mouthfeel.
Fuda, I would say, is the most pure kick boy on the roster. When he gets the chance to just kick somebody's soul out of his body.
Freelance exorcism.
Ryu Fuda, kick boy exorcist.
That is just a straight Prime Zone bit, that.
Who gets possessed, though?
Now, let's spin the wheel.
That's Shun's face turn, as Ryu Fuda kicks the evil out of him.
Yes, okay.
We're getting somewhere now. Okay, some people have long since given up on Fuda. I have always been behind him, and I always like seeing him get something, even if it's a little bit. And he's getting a lot more than I expected him to get.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I edit this, it's already going to have happened, so I'm not going to make any bold predictions anyway. But glad that they're building him to the Bravegate title shot he never got, because he was injured right before. Pre-sumo body Ishin champion, I think, was when he got his shot last.
Yep.
And, there's maybe something to be said for the way that this company does kind of has some stop-start booking sometimes, where he's being primed for a title shot, so he's getting wins. I don't know what happens after that.
Either way, there's plenty to do with both him and Yoya. So I don't think there's like necessarily a correct choice here.
No, I just hope that he continues getting his wins either way after this. So, like sometimes they do down cycle people after losing a title shot, and
I think it could be.
I understand why.
Yeah, I think it could be a good like audition piece, basically. Like this is his like 40-second monologue. And I don't know, maybe a unit will vie for him.
Well, he has been getting promos lately too, so
It's not nothing.
I didn't quite get the exact translation from the last Prime Zone, but it does seem like Club Yanagi is done because of their loss to D-Courage.
I didn't get the chance to watch the last Prime Zone, and that makes me very sad.
Oh, it's a delight.
I know. It's Prime Zone.
That is a very strong episode. Daiki is somebody who I would like to see sooner rather than later join somebody. D-Courage feels correct.
Every time there's been like, oh, this, we need to do something with this person, they could join a unit. D-Courage feels like a good and it's never D-Courage.
Yeah, Yeah. I do think he has that same kind of vibe, though,
Yeah.
unless they want to bring Host Club Daiki
Listen,
into Love and Peace.
I think that they should have Champagne Daiki as a legit thing. But we've been saying this
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
a while, but
Yeah.
it's just so good and he's so good at it.
I think that's the biggest example of how Prime Zone can bring out somebody's hidden charisma because
Mhm.
he's like a fiery, plucky young baby face. He does his dives right off the bat, and well, the announcements are still going on sometimes. He's allowed to show that, but the sheer amount of personality that he has shown on Prime Zone has been astounding to me, and that's something that you don't get to see if you don't watch Prime
Yeah.
Zone. So if you are listening to this and you have not seen what Daiki Yadagiuchi is capable of, watch Prime Zone for the last 6 to 8 months or so,
Mm.
however long they've been doing that gimmick. And that is why, actually, Love and Peace might be the best place for him, because if they do translate Champagne Daiki to regular programming, he does have that lovable dumbass kind of aesthetic to him.
Mhm.
Especially his little dance, and his song, his little oh, this is going to be a spoiler for that Prime Zone you didn't watch, but they altered the song a little bit
Oh,
for a birthday song. It became Baba Baba Birthday.
superb.
Just chef's kiss, no notes.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting dynamics there is that the Daiki in the mainline canon seems a lot younger than he actually
Mm,
is, and also the Daiki that he is on Prime Zone seems a lot like more self-possessed and mature.
mm-hmm.
And partly I think that's a transition that needs to be made a little bit because there's being youthful and seeming young. And I think Daiki seems young in ways that I'm not sure is doing him a lot of favors.
Right, and I have to keep reminding myself that he's older than Fuda,
Yeah, exactly.
and he does not seem like it. He's 27, I believe.
So I think it would behoove them to allow him to be more, not necessarily like act his age, but to have a little bit of that maturity and that self possession that you see when he's doing the Club Yanagi shtick.
He's got the. I always kind of struggle with saying acting chops in wrestling because there aren't a ton of great actors in wrestling overall,
Very few.
but he does have that sort of performer ability where I think that doesn't come across in the main canon as
Mm.
much. Actually, I kind of want to see how his dynamic would work with Hyo of all people.
That could be so much.
Because there has been some interaction between them on Prime Zone,
Yeah.
but a similar dynamic of like flashy young guys.
It's kind of a Yakuza game side quest, side
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
Kind of got that energy.
So yeah, I think I amend my position on adding him to Decourage. I think I want him in Love and Peace.
Talked yourself into it. Again, it's never Decourage.
I mean, purely based on the Prime Zone persona and wanting that to come out. I don't know if it's a one-to-one exact thing. I don't think it needs to be, but
No.
I think put an orange blazer on him,
Oh,
you're set.
oh, I can see it in my mind's eye, and it's offensive to my sensibilities.
With no shirt underneath, let's be clear.
That doesn't make it. No, that makes it worse. That makes it worse.
Blazer with no shirt is a look.
That's
It's
an
a bold
80s
choice.
comedian. With white trousers, no. Ugh.
It's a bit used car salesman.
A bit used. Yeah. Well, if you want to talk about charisma.
I'd buy a car from Daiki.
And then you would suffer the consequences. But you walked in with your eyes open, so you have no one to blame but yourself.
I know what I'm doing. I walked into this.
I like how you started to say, I know what I'm doing, and then stopped because no, you
Oh
don't.
no, I don't know what I'm doing.
No, you don't. None of us do.
And that's the big secret, isn't it, about life in general? Is none of us know what we're doing.
Oh, don't start that.
Let's talk a bit about my large adult son, Akihiro Sahara.
The boy.
kind of like going back to the Prime Zone thing, and you really need to see this episode because there is a good amount of development on it.
Oh, that's exciting.
They do add him to the club, but they say he needs to work on his aesthetics because he's kind of just doing the same thing that he always does. I don't know. Like Jay had a post on Blue Sky saying the club is closed, so I'm not sure if that is.
Sahara, what did you do?
I mean, who knows if they'll actually revisit it or keep it going or whatever. Prime Zone doesn't even stick to its own story a lot of the time. I like to use the mixed metaphor of a dartboard and throwing spaghetti at the wall, and I say throwing spaghetti at a dartboard.
That's a potent mental image.
All this to say, I really miss Doi darts.
Bring them back. Bring them back.
Yes, please Doi.
Give me shuffle units.
Yeah, Sahara, he's been doing the spiked up hair thing. That's new. I think he needs something with his look, and I don't know where to put him. I think if Mochizuki Dojo sticks around, I think he's good where he is right now. Otherwise, I don't know, put him in Natural Vibes or something. Let him learn the dance.
Oh, that he does not strike me as a man who can dance.
Maybe he doesn't need to. I don't know. I could see that being a hidden talent, because who knows? Nobody knew that Strong Machine J was a breakdancer.
No, but, well...
I do really want to see where Sahara goes after this. I haven't seen him be mean yet. I don't know how convincing he would be as a heel, but Gashadokuro being what they are right now, I kind of just instinctively want to say, like, every beefy guy goes to the beefy unit.
I think Sahara will have to learn, like, he'll have to tell his eyebrows, his little meow meow expression that he's a bad guy now. Because he always looks a little... you know?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Minoru is a great example of someone who can't mean mug.
He's very good at giving that sort of "I'm better than you." I'm pretty. What are you doing here?
Oh, Minoru's great at looking smug.
He's not so great at the Gur
mean, angry face. Yeah,
just doesn't have that in his soul.
I guess Sahara hasn't really had much of a chance at all, really. He's another one. He's been around for only slightly less time than Homare, so he was, I believe, end of September last year was his debut. And he was injured for a portion of that. Was that his neck, I want to say?
I believe so.
That's tricky, so, as somebody who has a chronic neck injury... I can tell you how tricky that is. So he has not had the chance to get as much momentum as I think he would have otherwise, unfortunately.
Which is another reason why I don't think the dojo is going anywhere just yet. Because if one person leaves, sure, but there's still too much going on with everyone else.
Sure, I think people are just expecting them to dissolve and have everyone go their separate ways, but I don't think that's necessarily what they need to do. I think as long as they stay the course of that mission statement of, you can leave, just tell us.
Yeah.
Then I don't see why they couldn't just keep a revolving door going.
Just have a graduation system.
Yeah. And like I was saying before, if Kimura isn't fully kidnapped by Shun and brainwashed...
One never knows, do one.
And then he says he's not ready for Paradox yet, then it seems like Mochi Dojo would be the logical next step. Whenever Oshima and Tsujiguchi are ready, Tsukihara whenever he's ready, whoever the other new kid is.
Who are you? We will find out. I didn't mean to make that sound as threatening as it did.
Oh, but we will find out. The other thing is, I still find it very funny that Sahara engaged in a sort of, let's say, educational chicanery, pretending he wanted to play American football just so he could have access to equipment that would allow him to get in condition to be a professional wrestler.
I like how this is a beat that has it's happened more than once. This seems to be a regular scheme.
Who else did they say that about? Somebody else had, I think it might have been Kimura, actually. He took judo as a means of getting into wrestling.
Yeah, it's just knowing what you want and going after it in a slightly roundabout way, which I have to admire.
I mean, as somebody who has worked in multiple branches of entertainment, it's all about building transferable skills.
Exactly. I have no transferable skills.
I will pick up something and then working as like a stage manager in live theater, I can use that when working live wrestling shows. And kind of gotten off the topic of Sahara, but there's like, I don't
yes.
think there's a whole lot more to say about him now because he hasn't really had that big moment yet.
No. But he is your large son.
He is. I would like to see him get a regular rival. He's a contemporary of Homare's, but they haven't really been fully leaning into that since the Young Dragon Cup.
Yeah.
It would be cool to revisit that. I don't know if they will. I think they would if he joins Gajadokuro. I think he needs a little longer to cook, and I think the dojo is the best place for him right now.
Agreed.
So I think we can probably move on to Paradox now.
Our most ingenious paradox.
I was talking to somebody recently about hoping that Kimura does join them because it would be another paradox of the veteran unit having the newest debut in their ranks, while the original paradox is being the veteran unit on top of the youth-focused promotion.
You can't layer a paradox on a paradox. You'll create a singularity.
Can't you? Isn't that the paradox?
Oh,
then?
don't start that.
I think they need that next evolution now as a unit, since they're not on top anymore. They don't have the Triangle Gate, they don't have the Dream Gate. If you're not going to have them be in a major prominent position, then they're just another iteration of Veteran Gun.
Yeah.
It is no longer a paradox, and you don't have to stick to whatever your name is, but I don't know, I guess looking at the unit list, they are all pretty on brand with what their name is. Natural Vibes is still the party boy dancing unit. D-Courage is still Daya and Yuki.
And friends.
Mochizuki Dojo, obviously, is a dojo led by Mochizuki. Love and Peace, very on brand. Gashadokuro is, the edgelord Skull Snakes. Kung Fu Masters are Kung Fu Masters.
Also there, yeah.
And then Saipatra. So.
Yes.
So yeah, I think the names are all on brand. So yeah, I'm gonna do a 180 on that and say Paradox does need to create another paradox.
Just interrupting space-time continuum constantly.
That's what they'll do. You'll start noticing they're gonna splice into like old footage, the Paradox logo, and have like you'll be watching an old Yamato match from like the Mad Blanky era, and you'll look into the background and it'll zoom in on old Yamato's face.
Like it's the end of The Shining. I was explaining the Max Headroom incident to my sister yesterday.
Do you want to expound upon that, or
no? I'm going to leave that as is. Okay. Actually.
Okay, look it up. It's bonkers.
Wild.
I mean, I'm sure it's not necessary in their own context. Like, they don't have to lean into the name, but it does kind of depend on what Kimura does next. And with Shonen Homare recently, I would not be surprised if Joy goes there or does something else, because he doesn't show up with them all the time anyway because of his freelance status. I'm always up for more Yamado. You know that about me.
Yes, I do. I do know that about you.
But they have not been focusing on those two as a team.
No.
Just because Not Hug is a thing, and I love Not Hug. One thing I do want to say, like, before we get into the individual members, is how is the joke of Dragon Kid leaping into Doi's arms and being thrown down to the canvas funny every single time?
It's just the sheer, like, physical comedy of it is...
It's the same joke every time, and it always cracks me up. Without fail.
I think just throwing a guy is inherently funny. But they also, like, they have a lot of different ways of landing it as well. Literally and physically.
Right, yeah.
Figuratively.
Different ways of getting him into that position.
Yeah. And I think that's
but it's always the same punchline.
It's always the same punchline, but the lead up is different. And for some reason, it's one of those things. You know it, but for some reason you don't expect it every time.
There's that one webcomic where the punchline is always, oh no.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly.
It's like that. There's always a different setup, but it's always the same punchline.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's very funny that Not Hug has lasted much longer than Big Hug did.
Yeah, the parody has outlived the original.
To the point where if you were watching now, you wouldn't even understand what it's a reference to.
Exactly. But that's funnier somehow.
I do love that the Bible can have multiple variations based on who he's teaming with at the time, because they have the Deubel, which is great, but it's not like a portmanteau of their moves, because it's the Bible and the Bakatare sliding kick.
You try and make that work. No, don't.
Bible
Stop.
I don't know. That's the best I can do. Because he has done that with other people. I think they've had the, like, Yamabull. What is the one with Hulk? It's like the Beeble or something like that. Or Beeble. I think I want a more clear dynamic with them now that they don't have the belts anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like Kagetora going back to Bravegate contention, because I always forget that he's in that weight class. Yamato, Hulk, Susumu Triangle Gate team, that's very strong.
Yeah, that is very strong.
Yamato, he's not doing a whole lot other than trying to recruit Kimura. He does have a relatively new entrance robe, that like red sleeveless one.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy 12 core.
Oh, very much, yes.
If it were black, it would be Black Parade, but alas, it is bright red.
Yamato is totally a JRPG protagonist.
He is, whilst simultaneously being the grizzled veteran character.
Right. He needs a comically large sword.
I can see it. The Cloud Strife special.
He is still the ace, even though they are priming Yuki again, which we will get to.
Yeah, we will.
I think he could lean into that, actually, as kind of this sort of, like, fading ace position where he's trying to hold on to it, and I think you could almost get a little bit more heel dynamic in there.
I don't know why I immediately went to Sunset Boulevard, like he's the Gloria Swanson of Dragongate.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, I can see it. Getting increasingly more desperate to hold on to your fading star.
Yeah. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
I can see that.
Get weird with it, Yamato. Come on, get weird with it.
I wouldn't mind seeing weird Yamato.
Yeah, because he's, we've had, flashes of that.
Usually when he has the dark circles under his eyes and he's the dark Yamato. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Paradox maybe go a bit more heelish.
Yeah, I don't know. It's strange. I just don't have any real strong feelings about Paradox right now. And I think that's at least, partially kind of deliberate as well. Because they're not, like you say, they're not at the top. They've not got the most going for them right now. They're not where the focus is. And I, of course, would never complain about watching any of them wrestle. I just, my particular fascination, I suppose, is just in other places right now. So I don't know what Paradox would need to shift gears enough to become a source of fascination again.
I would actually, like, going back to Mochizuki Dojo for a second, I kind of would like to see a war between Mochi and Shun over the rookies. Like, no, I want this one. No, I want this one. Kind of like the tug of war that they had over Kyo, except rookie-based. But I think maybe with the whole Kimura thing, that maybe Yamato keeps going for him and probably clashes with Shun over that at some point. It's especially odd after such a long Dreamgate run. And I know you have to kind of cycle down people for a while, but I also think that if you have a very lengthy run, especially one that broke a few records, I think you need to keep him strong after, and I'm not really seeing that with him right now.
Yeah, there should be some fallout.
BB Hulk is probably in the best position for him right now. I don't know, like, people always say, like, oh, BB Hulk is cooked, he can't go at that level anymore, but every time I actually see him, he still hits.
Yeah, we're grading on the Dragongate curve. That's always the problem. The best is always such a high level that 80% is still better than most wrestlers I see day in, day out.
Right. It's not like we're talking about, just look at his mentor. Like, Magnum Tokyo was nowhere close to his best shape towards the end of his career, and BB Hulk is still wrestling at a top level.
Yeah.
He's not the top level, but I think that a lot of it is that people compare him to his old self a little too much. He was absolutely, being primed to be the next ace of the company. Even watered down BB Hulk is still great stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Time marches on for all of us.
Speaking of neck injuries, he broke his neck.
Yeah.
I gotta find this because I actually want to bring up that poor translation that I sent you from that website about him.
That was so funny.
So I found out where that actually came from. It is a Korean website in Paraguay.
Okay.
Apparently there's a small, not insignificant, but relatively small Korean population in Paraguay. So this website is very likely translated through at least 2 languages.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going to read this out. This is what this website's bio says about BB Hulk. Well, he was moderately thick, slim, and smooth, and
I forgot about that.
And through his body.
I forgot about that.
He played an acrobatic game. That's probably one of my favorite parts. And was nicknamed Fighting Fairy, and was a great female ace of Dragongate. But he was incorrectly hit by Kai's meteor impact and a fractured neck and knee injury. So he was hit by all of those things?
Yes. At once.
Incorrectly. He was incorrectly hit by a fractured neck and a knee injury. The body was seriously destroyed. Since the 2020s, the BB Hulk has become an impossible body. So it is impossible to hide the ship. And it has always been the cause of the game with a t-shirt. And further, it has to be completely abandoned and turned to a heel style. Lots to unpack there. I kind of get what some of it might be going for, but most of it I just cannot parse what that could possibly mean. The second part is, during the heyday, the fighting you want to hug, it was selected as second place. The first place is Masato of K1. And I think you brought up the fighting you want to hug is just Casey.
It is just Casey.
And the third part is, it doesn't seem like it's about him, it's just life advice. It is said that if you drink alcohol because of the bad drink, you will be a bit violent.
Because of the bad drink. Absolutely no other reasons.
I love it so much. And the funny thing about that is, I have looked elsewhere on that site, and there are some poor translations, but there's nothing that egregious.
It's because BB Hulk's just special like that.
To be clear, I am not disparaging bad translations. This is machine translation. Which is absolutely okay to make fun of.
Absolutely. That if a person had managed to translate it like that, I would be giving them applause. That's artfully bad.
No, I genuinely love poorly translated things. Sometimes you hear that, and actually, since we're talking about BB Hulk, his Dark Side Hulk theme, the one he had for RED, that is my favorite remix of his song, BB Story. And that has some, let's say, very loose translations.
In Discord the other night, a few of us were listening to 100% Lucha themes, which is an old Argentinian, I believe, kids show. There was a little lucha promotion that ran for, I think, from 2006 to 2010 or something like that. And they have these very, very stock characters. So you have the American secret agent, you have a cowboy, you have a mariachi. Our personal favorite was McFloyd, who is just a Scottish man, but played by a South American man, but he's great. But we were listening to a YouTube playlist of all of the themes last night, which some of them way better than they had any right to be. Absolute jams. But there was some very, very fun English in some of them, because they're primarily in Spanish, because it's a kid show from Latin America. But a couple of them had English in them, because the characters that they were portraying were American secret agent Ron Doxson and stuff like that. And I'm trying to remember what the lyric was, but one of them had a lyric that was just so funny that we all stopped and rewound and just listened to it a few times.
He has the power to kick your ass.
It gives that sometimes. Sometimes it's it's almost there, but it sounds a bit silly, and that kind of makes it better.
Well, one of the things that always kind of impresses me about Japanese music is how quickly they switch to English lot of the time. sometimes in the middle of a line, you will just hear them go from Japanese to English or vice versa. Kikuta's theme, Sparking Core, is about 50-50. If you ever read the lyrics to it, it is like half and half, and it's not badly translated either. So,
Oh, nice. Yeah, you get that in K-pop as well, but for similar reasons. Japan has always had a thing about America. So there's a rapper called Chanmina, and she speaks English, Japanese, and Korean, and her songs are in a mix of Japanese, English, and Korean. And those are really fun to sing along to.
And I will say that this does kind of relate back to BB Hulk, because as we were saying when we were talking about Jason Lee, BB Hulk is one of the most aesthetic wrestlers. He's very much a visual K type of wrestler. I would say that he is the most musical of the roster. He has gone from boy band to J metal.
True. When Jackie does his goth alter ego with Hibiscus Me, he has like Son of BB Hulk energy.
Yeah,
and
I would actually love to see him bring that.
Yeah.
I would love to see him bring that to Dragongate, because it's a side of him that most people don't see and don't expect to see.
No, it's so different. I think maybe he's just a secret goth.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely helps having a goth mom.
Yeah, a drag mom.
Especially if you've seen Hibiscus Me's alter ego. I'll have to... Oh, Nanashi. So she has done a few matches in the crossover shows when they have the Dragon X Dragon shows. We had mentioned Abaddon in the last session. Kind of that similar sort of thing, except more ghost-like, I would say.
Ah, spooky.
Like very Yurei-coded. But I'll link you to a match of hers. Genki's in it, and as soon as she enters, Genki just freaks the fuck out.
That sounds about right.
She's like crawling towards the ring, and he just starts screaming. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
Please do.
Oh, she's also been in those therapeutic sandals matches, which is one of the funniest stipulations I've ever seen.
Such a good bit.
Anyway, yeah, we are getting off topic again. But no, like that is one of the other wrestlers I can think of that has that dark persona, and like, yeah, that goes with what Jackie could potentially do. I think I had mentioned this before, but you could make an actual spooky unit.
Yeah, no, like give him magic powers. I don't care. Like at least give it to me on a Prime Zone. That's what Prime Zone is for. I think, like, the Prime Zone coming up's Halloween, but I don't know if it's going to be particularly themed. As, obviously, we don't know what Prime Zone's going to be until it, like, is happening to us.
I think Jay was saying something about maybe they're not doing Club Yanagi on the next one because they're maybe on opposite sides by then, so...
We will see.
I mean, they did a costume battle royal last year.
They did, and that was haunting in its own right.
Yeah. Susumu is kind of a guy who's taken a back seat. As much as I love him, there's not that much to say about him right now, because they don't really feature him that prominently in stories. I mean, he's still at the top of his game. He's still doing great stuff. One thing that he has been leaning into more, and he's been doing this for years, but I've noticed it more from him recently, is that he'll do the Yokosuka cutter setup, and then he has so many variations of what he can do from there that he hesitates for so long that his opponent takes him out of it, and then he never actually does it.
Choice paralysis.
Yeah. It's kind of like the running gag of Candy setting up the John Woo kick and then never actually getting to do it. I don't see him changing it up much unless he goes independent again or tags with Candy again, which I'd always like to see. I think he's fine where he is. I don't think he needs to do much else other than just be a workhorse for the rest of his career. I did really love the fact that I got to see him and meet him in person. Like, that is somebody who I did not expect to come over. So we mentioned this when we talked about the Vegas podcast, but when I met him, I told him, like, I'd been watching him since Toryumon, and he's like, oh yeah, that's so long ago.
Years ago.
I've met several of the veterans now. I would really love to meet Genki at some point, and I'd really like to meet Doi at some point.
I'd be afraid to meet Doi. I think he'd eviscerate me verbally, and I would not understand it.
He'd befriend you and then betray you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Susumu is one of those guys where it never really occurred to me that he would do a US tour. I don't know yet who they're going to be bringing back for next year, but they are planning on bringing people back.
It better not be anyone too exciting because I cannot afford that unless I fly out for one day.
Maybe by then you can.
No, no.
Having a place to stay would cut down on expenses by quite a bit, but
yeah.
I don't think I know anyone who would put me up. Yeah, I don't know what you do with Susumu at this point, other than stay the course.
I think that's the thing with most of Paradox generally, because their function, as it were, it's a bit clinical, but their function was to do exactly what they did, and now that essentially the Reiwa 6, that everyone's, or the sort of younger guys are in the positions that they're in now, they can take up the mantle of the main thrust of the storyline again, where they couldn't for a while. And a lot of that, I wouldn't say it was necessarily stalling, because that's not, I don't think that's fair on the good work that everyone was doing, but there was a certain amount of like, we have to play for time a little bit until Yuki comes back.
Yeah.
And obviously they didn't know exactly when that'd be.
There is kind of a philosophical question there, which I don't know if it's... I'm sure there's no answer to it that we'll ever find out, but the question would be whether Paradox was kind of like a ripcord for the Reiwa 6 not quite catching on as much as they wanted them to, or if it was always kind of planned to have this unit where like they want the Reiwa 6 to step up and see who comes out of it strong. And a few people now have, but not all of them.
Yeah, I think ultimately, and like you say, we'll never know exactly what was planned and what wasn't, but ultimately you can only judge by the text that you have in front of you, basically. And I think there's a few different ways to read the, I suppose, efficacy, success of the Reiwa 6. I think regardless, having Paradox as that sort of contrast point was very useful.
Like as gatekeepers to the top?
Yeah, because everyone needs, if you don't have conflict, you don't have a story. And that means a lot of different things. But I think as well with there's sort of an interesting dynamic at play with people's expectations of particularly Japanese companies right now as well, as being that tension and that tussle between wanting, the fans wanting the young guys to be at the top of the card, but the old guys still being there. So you have a certain amount of that sort of meta commentary as well that Paradox were playing on.
And also the fact that the old guys are not the typical like veteran cast of Japanese companies, or any wrestling company really, where they have, guys in their late 40s and 50s, sticking around way longer than they should, where they're all kind of like broken down and have all kinds of backstage issues, and a lot of them are problematic, and they're kind of like, oh, well, we're still trotting out this old guy, and, for a nostalgia pop. That's not what they're doing in Dragongate. They're, the guys that are still together in Paradox, guys like Susumu, guys like Dragon Kid, who are part of the, original classes, those guys are still amazing. And
yeah.
We say this every time we talk about Dragon Kid, but he is 49 years old, and oh my god. He's doing things that, like I've said when talking about the criticism of some of the, not lesser talented, just like at lower on the card members of the roster, where I say I couldn't, on my best day, I couldn't do the things they do on their worst days. Dragon Kid, I could not do things when I was 20 that he can do pushing 50. Like on the best day of my life, I couldn't do that stuff. So the insane conditioning he still has, and he's a freak. He is a freak of nature. Just the way that he still moves. I mean, the way that he nearly broke his neck and came back from it and has not lost a step.
Yeah, it's wild.
As far as I know, he's fully recovered. I mean, neck injuries are are a bit sketchy in that you never fully recover from a lot of them, but it wasn't debilitating. I know that in contrast to guys like BB Hulk, where you have to kind of relearn how to wrestle in certain ways, I don't think that Dragon Kids was that type of injury. So I think that is something that he can fully come back from. And I mean, I haven't noticed him losing a step at all since he came back from his injury. And I know that he had numbness for a while, but he was wrestling through it anyway because wrestlers.
Yeah.
As long as he is healthy, he's going to be incredible. I do wonder how many years he's got left, but as long as he's not slowing down and he's still in incredible condition, then why not?
He and Dyer are going over to Germany for WXW's Tag Fest. Like,
right, I heard about that. Yeah,
and I was tempted to try and go, but it got money and time off work, which is really annoying because they're performing on my birthday.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that gonna stream at all? Do you know?
Yeah, it will do on WXW now. Okay. I think is what it's called still. So I will end up watching it, not least because Dyer and Kid will be wrestling Greedy Souls, who are a couple of guys from the Brit Wrest scene who I really like. I've seen a lot over the years. So I was like, you designed that for me. But if you look at the lineup of people in that tag league, it's, all of the kind of people you'd expect, and then this 50-year-old man.
I mean, that's a testament to what he can do and what he can still do.
Because that's 2-3 days where there'll be a lot of different things going on. So I imagine they'll have a fair few matches in a relatively short space of time.
Well, I think I brought this up at one point, but Dragon Kid is able to do things that Daya can't even do.
Yeah.
I'm just endlessly impressed by him, and it's accentuated by the fact that he's just this kind of like dorky, kind of like smiley guy who just wants everyone to be his friend.
Again, the ways I've heard him described are very funny. That he just seems like the nicest little old man, honestly.
And I'm going to put this picture. I'm going to send you this picture in the chat right now that has kind of the perfect encapsulation of not hug.
Exactly.
Which is just kind of like Doi with almost this like 1,000-yard stare.
I can hear only time playing in the background.
I don't know what's playing in Dragon Kid's head, like probably Banana Phone or something.
Banana phone.
He looks deranged. Yeah.
That's a mashup.
Oh no, don't put that out into the universe.
I have to. I need to.
Oh.
Such a perfect microcosm of who they are, and I think that dynamic between them is just what makes them work, just like the dynamic between their attitudes. Kagetora's next in the list, but I do want to talk about Doi a bit more just because we are kind of segueing into talking about Not Hug again. There is one thing I do kind of miss about Doi. It's just a matter of him not being heel, even though he is kind of like always a tweener. But his heel persona, I always loved when he was really obnoxious on the mic. When he would just like, he'd grab a mic and he'd do the whole thing where he just yells, and he doesn't do that anymore because he's not trying to piss off the crowd. But
I know a few people who have taken up that mantle though.
Yeah, it's a facet of him where it's like there was a sort of mischief to it. I see less mischief in him now, and I think one of the kind of subtle undertones of the dynamic of Not Hug is that is Dragon Kid. And Doi is just having none of it. Something that I remember learning in psychology, if you think of the person that you hate the most and consider how many traits you share with them if you're actually being honest with yourself, you're gonna find a lot of similarities.
This is why I don't hate anyone. It doesn't reveal anything about me.
Yeah, I always try to be conscious of that when I can. Like, Doi, of all people, being annoyed with somebody who's like a little too over the top sometimes is a really fun little undertone to this because he was so obnoxious years ago. It is really funny to see him be more almost stoic in that kind of like grumpy old man way of just not having any.
Yeah, it's what it is. It is that he has just become the sort of grumpy old man archetype, but whilst simultaneously being an absolute bitch, which, as you know, is my favorite kind of old man.
And you've seen their t-shirts, right?
Yes, yes.
I want one of those. I don't know where I can buy those, but I want one.
I mean, we'll just have to figure out a proxy order because I need that Gajadokoro shirt.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be around for long enough that you could probably get one of those the next time they come over.
I need it.
Let's talk a bit about Kagetora. He's another one who I think, like Susumu, is kind of cycled down a bit. He is always in that kind of workhorse position, too. And I do think that you could do Susumu Kagetora Twingate team. Workhorses who maybe don't stand out as characters as much, but still, incredible in the ring. I mean, we talk about how we love kick boys, but like, I guess you'd call Kagetora kind of a punch boy.
Punch boy.
Or a slap boy.
Chop boy.
Yeah, chop boy. His strikes are still amazing.
Yeah. Well, he's revolutionized the chop for the entirety of the younger roster. Oh, and Tanaka's bringing King of Chop back, isn't he?
Yeah,
On
I was
Prime
just going to say
Zone.
King of Chop is coming back. Yeah.
So,
yeah, get Kage in there.
chop freaks unite.
But he's another one where I struggle to say as much about him because in the past decade or so, he's just kind of like the workhorse guy who gets attached to Yamato. And don't hate that. The only other thing I would say is that I think there are a couple people like Susumu and Kagetora who have taken a bit of a backseat character-wise, but I think in general they're in a good position and they don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah. It needs a shake-up, but it doesn't need a apocalypse of fracturing.
We were talking about Kimura quite a bit here, but I can always say I predict that they'll eventually get him, but you never know with this company.
Yeah, indeed.
Thanks again for joining us. Special thanks to all my channel members, That Guy from AK, Rob DW, Dan Williams, Art, Lois, Adam Sanderson, One Funky Note, Lino Nwakucha, and for my Ko-fi donors, Jolly, Hoss Freeman, CSG370, Slurm316, Jason Ford, Evelyn Gallery, and an anonymous donor. If you donated and I did not mention you, it's because I recorded this before you became a member, and I'll get you next time.